Hello, hello, hello. Turn my microphone, clear some clutter. Good morning. Happy Labor Day week. I love long weekends. Anybody else feeling super restored and recharged and ready, but also a little overwhelmed because we're compressing a whole week into a shorter amount of time, which stress and managing all the schedules and wearing all the hats and juggling all the things is exactly what we're talking about today. So, I think it's timely that as we kick off September and jump into office hours today in this compression week, that I felt really called to speak to women's health. So one of the trends that I see happening in practice, but we're going to talk about just how it's going on culturally in general, is women's health is declining across the board in multiple categories, and if we don't do something, there are very high prices to pay. And each and every day, more and more over the course of my experience in practice, I'm hearing women come in with a variety of, which we're going to go through the list here in a second. And it's all different titles. It's all different diagnosis. There's all these different, kind of departments of the body or categories or, labels, I guess, that we give it. But fundamentally, I think the root causes of what is making women so sick and so tired is fundamentally the same, right? And I think, they call chiropractors are it's DC, doctor of chiropractic. But one of the nicknames, I guess, that you'll hear a lot in chiropractic circles is that we are doctors of cause, DC. Take me back to the root. Take me to what's actually going on. Don't throw a diagnosis at me. Don't throw a pill at me. How did I get here? And until I can get to that root, I can't know the cure. Right. So I want to unpack the conversation because it is big. And let's just jump in right there. Let's talk about how big. So, reproductive health. So, this video today is for you if you fall in this category of having reproductive health issues, abnormal cycles, PCOS, cysts, endometriosis, fibroids, fertility issues, perimenopause, menopause. They are estimating, that 1 in 10 women, which I think is actually low, has one of those things going on. And that 60% of women 35 and up have some sort of chronic issue, like some illness that they are on medications for. And that's just in one category. So this is for you if you fall in the PCOS, cycles, cysts, endometriosis, fibroids, fertility, perimenopause, and menopause. It's also for you if you have something going on in the mental health department, anxiety, depression, stress overload, ADHD, brain fog. So nearly 20% of all women are, saying that they have active feelings of depression in their life on a daily basis. We are nearly 2 times as likely as men to have depression issues and be medicated for it. Major issue. This video is for you. Autoimmune, RA, Hashimoto, lupus, fibromyalgia, again, 2 to 3 times more likely than men. So, of over 24 million people in the United States that are diagnosed with autoimmune conditions, 75% are women. Autoimmune, body fighting itself. This is for you. Cardiovascular, hypertension, cholesterol, heart disease, heart attack. 1 in 3 women, this is like third leading cause of death for women in the United States, fall into cardiovascular health. This is for you. Breast health, so fibrocystic breast tissue, cancer. We are now 1 in 8 over the course of a lifetime that women will come in contact with, you know, um, being given the label of breast cancer. Major issue in our culture. This is for you. Obesity and weight gain, um, this is looking at diabetes, joint issues, everything that health wise starts to come with it, the physical and mental toll that being overweight and obese causes across the board for your health. It's nearly 40% of women fall into that category, and it's climbing at an extremely rapid rate. This video is for you. Thyroid, hypothyroid, hyperthyroid, metabolism issues, energy issues, mood swings. We are 5 to 8 times greater than men to have thyroid issues. If I had a dollar for every time a woman has come into my practice just over the last year, but call it the last 10, of how many women have come in and been told that they are in that spectrum somewhere of hypothyroid and hyperthyroid and are on a medication, if not multiple medications for thyroid issues. I could probably retire just because like that is the fastest climbing, category that at least I feel like I'm running into, and we are normalizing it like it's okay. 5 to 8 times greater than men. If you have thyroid issues or thyroid dysfunction, this video is for you. UTI issues, renal issues, bladder issues. This one's really close to my heart because my mom ultimately was diagnosed with bladder cancer that stage 4 went into all of her bones, and got to know the toll of this one really well. And I'm going to come back to it a little bit later. This video is for you. Osteoporosis, so decline in bone health, strength, integrity, predisposition to bone breaks. So reproductive health, mental health, autoimmune health, autoimmune dysfunction, cardiovascular health, breast health, obesity and overweight issues, thyroid health, UTIs, renal, bladder, osteoporosis. Just a few of the categories we're seeing, 60% plus of women fall into some of these guys. This video is for you because I just named off a lot of things which can start to make it feel really big and daunting and overwhelming and normal. Biggest concern I have is that you read it all out and it starts to get really normal because we all know somebody. I can go through and I'm thinking of every single one of you. I know you by name and I know what you've told me that you've been told in these different categories. And I get fired up because none of that addresses cause, like we talked about. All of it is symptomatic, is lab results, it's categories, it's labels, it's medications, it's surgeries, it's removing, female parts, it's taking lifelong medications, steroids, antibiotics. I mean, you name it. Like this is a mess. It is a mess. And at this trajectory, right? And good friends of mine, patients listening to this that I hope are going to tune into this, really young, with young children and a long life that I want them to lead. This is where it gets really personal because this is for my mom. This is for my family that doesn't have her around. This is for all of you and your families. This is for our daughters and our granddaughters, and the trajectory has got to stop. But it won't get there by reading off all the labels and the diagnosis. All that tells me is all the problems and everything going wrong. I'm going to go through some books that, I wish everybody would read. And I am a reader, and I never was, honestly. I mean, like I've gone through more school than I would care to count, countless hours. And I read for fun because I read like my life depends on it. I read like your life depends on it. So I have an insatiable curiosity and drive within me to find it, all the answers. So let's go through a few of these books. These are in no particular order, and this is not all of them. But when I was thinking about you and praying on what should I share with them, this is what comes up. So first one is from Kelly Brogan, Own Yourself, The Surprising Path Beyond Depression, Anxiety, and Fatigue to Reclaim Your Authenticity, Vitality, and Freedom. So this is Dr. Kelly Brogan. One of my favorite quotes from her in this is going to be, "You are the creator of your own experience. You have the power within you to change your life." You're going to see some themes here, but she is no nonsense. She has come to the big idea. She is beautiful. She is powerful. She has a new book. We'll include, that one on the list too. But she is a doctor, and she had I've met women who've gone on the journey with Dr. Kelly of reclaiming their sanity, reclaiming their mental health, their physical health, their families' health and wellness. And she tells it like it is, and she gives you the keys to set you free, but reminds you that the responsibility to use those keys is in your hand and your hand alone. The Own Yourself book, I cannot emphasize enough. Check it out. Number one. Number 2, Christiane Northrup. This woman is all kinds of fire. If you are in the perimenopause, menopause category, if you haven't read any of this, they call it the Bible for middle-aged womanhood, creating physical and emotional health during change. And she is a firecracker. Again, I've gotten to meet her multiple times over the last few years. She's been really outspoken, through the heat of, all things COVID, because she saw the underbelly of the medical machine. Again, medical doctor, Dr. Kelly Brogan, medical doctor. They've seen it from the inside out. They see the sickness, the dysfunction, the dis-ease, the trends coming. They see all that from the inside of how they used to practice to how they practice now, and they've made it their missions to set women free. She says menopause is not something to be feared. It is a transition that can offer great insight and personal growth. So, again, she's focusing on practical, tactical tools that you can use during this season of life, but it's rooted in this notion, this crazy notion, just like Dr. Kelly Brogan, that you are the power, that you have the power, that if we embrace change, if we take the cues and the signs and the symptoms that our body is throwing at us, and we go with the flow, and we trust that inside system, and we nourish ourselves better, body, mind, and soul, we get good outcomes. Highly recommend every book this woman has put out, and following along on her social. She is hilarious, and plays the harp, and she's just the sweetest woman. Now, the grandmother of, we've heard of The Secret and thoughts becoming things, and how the mental affects the physical body. Louise Hay is the GOAT. She's the one. She's written a number of books as well. Particularly, I want to go with, Heal Your Body, the mental cause for physical illness and the metaphysical way to overcome them. So I don't care where you were at in your PCOS, fertility issue, perimenopause, endometriosis, depression, RA, Hashimoto, hypertension, breast cancer, any kind of cancer, diabetes, hyper, bladder, kidney. I don't care what it is. She sums it all down again into a root and specific tactical tools that you can use to start to shift the thoughts and beliefs that you're carrying around inside your mind. Because she says every thought we think is creating our future. The thoughts we choose to think are the tools we use to create the life we want. This is it. No matter what you come in with, ache, pain, symptom, sickness, disease, I'm going to root you back here, because if you don't get this big idea, you can't get the rest. You're going to stay stuck in the same spin cycle and medical machine and maze of trying to diagnose something, take a pill for something, and then get out from underneath it. Because once you're labeled with it and you accept that inside your mind, and you grab a hold of that belief that they gave you, and you make it your own, and you live it, I am this, I have this, and you start to turn these like labels into identity, you got a major problem. And so Heal Your Body, Heal Your Life, those books from her, and just, how mindset is everything. The GOAT right here. I want to talk to my ladies who are thinking about getting pregnant, who are pregnant, who are going to get pregnant again. All things pregnancy, labor, delivery, another GOAT, Ina May Gaskin, Guide to Childbirth. So this one, I just feel like we should be given this collection of books. And maybe I just came up with an idea for every shower, wedding, baby that I'll attend from here till eternity, or birthday presents. You guys all know what you're going to start getting from me from now on. Books. Because we read like our life depends on it, because it does, because this knowledge is power. And so to those women who are growing humans that are literally portals from heaven to earth, this is for you. Get this book, please, please, please. So this, she unpacks this huge topic of childbirth and empowering women to trust their bodies and embrace the natural birthing process. So we have medicalized pregnancy, and it's become just another thing we're doing that we add to the to-do list. You're growing life, a human being. From where? Where'd it come from? All of a sudden popped into your belly, and you carry them, or multiple of them, and you birth them through your body. We've been taught to fear it, to avoid it, to medicate it, to shut it up, to cut it off, all of it. Need this book. This changes the trajectory for our daughters, our granddaughters. It redefines what it is to be a woman, to birth, and to fall madly in love with the processes that we get to experience as women. She says, the power and intensity of your contractions cannot be greater than you because it is you. Mm. And I get intense again because I can see and feel myself when I was a first time mom, and the overwhelm and the fear and the naive and the just make it go away and doing what I think I should do or what everybody does, and just you just kind of fall in line with normal, right? But there's another way. And so getting to go to, births and watch women in their element, in the water, in their natural element, and being able to feel every contraction and go with that baby, and to have informed, empowered decisions through the course of their pregnancy, free unassisted births for that matter. I mean, it is wild women rising right now in pregnancy and labor and delivery and postpartum, and I cannot love it enough. So check out Ina May. Next one, this is what I consider to be a Bible. If you've been in the practice and you have been expected, you've seen this. These are really good friends of mine. I think the absolute world of this woman, Dr. Jen Floriani. The health of a baby is not just the absence of disease, it's about the presence of wellness and the ability to thrive. They are born perfect. If there's two different aspects that we can take on here, right? We can believe that a baby is born lacking and we need to fix it, or add ointments to eyes and shots right away, and we need to medicalize the whole birthing process and postpartum process and pediatric process. We just got to contain it all and cage it all and force it all and medicate it all. And listen, I understand that things have their time and place, but nature does too. And we have just completely kicked nature and innate intelligence and universal intelligence out the freaking window when it comes to pediatric health, and their health trends and women health trends are doing the talking for us. So go back and watch the video that I did last week where I'm talking about how piss poor our health is in our kids today. Well, how do we get there? We get there because of all the problems women have. If we have sick mothers, we're going to have sick babies, period. So we have to start this conversation from the get go with concepts like this, because the premise that babies are perfect, regardless of what might be going on, perfect design. I did a podcast episode with my brother, order and design. God has purpose and order in it all. Are we listening? Are we paying attention? Are we working with nature? Do we trust our babies? Are we constantly looking for what's wrong and medicating it, and got, cabinets full of literal poisons and feeding them awful, awful foods and then wondering why they're sick? Or do we see that they are perfection in motion? Do we trust them? Do we teach them? Do we empower them? Do we let them be? Game changer. Well-adjusted babies. Shout out to all my ladies who are in some perimenopause. This was one I read, a while back. So this is an old, I had to include it more, because I just think in this season of life where, we're transitioning into perimenopause, and it can go on for a really long time. Knowledge is power, and not feeling crazy and not feeling at the mercy. Like it's, you got to get to know you. You got to advocate for you. So this was one that, I remember when it came out, and I like her. And, aging is not a disease. It's a part of life that can be embraced, celebrated, and made vibrant through knowledge and choices. And so, again, it's like women came along and come along and they redefine the narrative. So, women like Suzanne Summers, I just commend them for stepping in the middle of these big conversations. And we're not putting women out to pasture when they hit a certain age. And we're not saying like it's just normal to go along these things. We are advocating for health and harmony and happiness through the longevity and all the ups and downs and all arounds that we go through. And yes, there are some days that we go a little crazy. I will only speak for myself. And there are days that I'm tired, and there are days that I'm short tempered, and there are days that I ache, and there are cycles that are perfectly on normal, and there are cycles that are doing their own thing, and I'm not real sure what it's calibrating, but I trust the processes, and I look more to the causes of hormone health and harmony than I do to, oh gosh, something is wrong with me. There's two stories that can run in your head, just like I said about babies. The story is, I am perfect and I have innate intelligence and universal intelligence and God's design working in me. And I just need to nourish it and empower it and take good care of it, support it, and surround myself with a village that thinks like there's a perfect design in here. Now, I'm not myself perfect. I don't make perfect choices, but I have a perfect design if I'm supporting it properly. Or we think we're broken and we need fixed, or that our symptoms need shut off because they're annoying and inconvenient, and that we're, just getting older and that's just the way life goes. No. There are always things that we can do to empower us no matter what season of life we are in. On that note, we'll feed right into one called The Hormone Cure by Dr. Sarah Gottfried. And balance is not a destination, it's a journey that requires ongoing attention and self care. So, when it comes to these books, guys, if you saw my list on Audible, like it's kind of cray. Um, and I don't always go front to back. Sometimes I look at the list of chapters and I dive in. I do listen to things on, a faster speed, 1.2 or 1.5 or 2.0, like, and I do love actual physical books and highlighting and going through it. This is one, again, these are doctors who saw the inside of the machine and what was, the trajectory for women, and then they get in the middle of it and they do something about it. Do I agree with absolutely everything in all of these books? No, I don't. But that doesn't matter. I can learn something from all of them. And here in a second, we're going to talk about what they all have in common. And I'm going to summarize it for you. So you may not go read all of these books. I hope that you do and that you start to read like your life depends on it, because it does, because knowledge is power. And then what you do with it is momentum. And it's books like this, it's women like this who are putting positive momentum out that are shifting the game and changing our culture. Speaking of a big one, again, so many of you, I've recommended this book and said, you got to read this. Go listen to her podcast with Mel Robbins. Mindy's all over the place right now. Follow along on her social, print her ebooks. So, this is all about intermittent fasting, right? But she also says fasting isn't just about what you eat. It's about the power of choosing when you eat to optimize your health and vitality. So I have done multiple phases of the 75 hard. And, one of the things that you have to do with 75 hard is pick a diet. And I try to follow her protocols when I do it. I've done intermittent fasting in the past and it was okay, but she speaks specifically to, a woman's guide to using healing power of fasting to burn fat, boost energy, and balance hormones, right? So many women have a tough relationship with food. And we've got to heal that because that's the mental and the physical, and our fuel is everything. So I love it because it's really helped me understand the link between food, when I eat, fasting, and how I can intentionally choose when I'm putting stuff in my body so that the rest of the time my body can be cleaning house. Because that's what it's doing. It's like I'm giving it its best efforts to go clean house and clean up stuff that might not be going good, or cleaning up inflammation, using proper fuel. And I feel so much more clear. I feel so much better. And she has specific ways of, when to fast, when not to fast, different cycles that you can use for different reasons. So I love it. I love her. Really good stuff. This one is for anybody struggling with reproductive issues. So we have a lot of people who've come into practice over the years. This is another one. And I'm like, if you don't have to read the whole book, but if you just go read the first chapter, this sums up my entire experience with learning acupuncture and traveling to China and just seeing the difference in an Eastern and Western approach to health and healing. One of my favorite quotes from this one is, the body is a garden and what you plant is what you will harvest. Nurturing yourself is the first step to nurturing your fertility. And so we see this at such a rapid rise right now. So many women. And I think that, this is another one to unpack probably on another day, but she talks about the ecosystem in the beginning. And that's why I love the word harmony of, we're harmonizing nature and our innate intelligence and our body's natural processes, or trying to control it. Right. We're forcing the body to do what we think it should do because we're so smart as men, or we see that there is the most beautiful design, intricate beyond anything. As we sit here right now, my muscles, my bones, my digestive system, my reproductive system, my respiratory system, there's countless processes going on inside the body. I don't have to think about any of them. I don't have to think about any of them. That power, we got to lean back into that trust. And if something is not working, if there's not a baby, right? If we're trying, we're doing all this thing and we see fertility, being an issue, going back to the ecosystem and saying, what is out of balance? What is out of harmony? What needs nourished? What needs supported? Instead of attacking, instead of controlling, it's a totally different way to view health. Last one is one that's super current. I just started this one and I was in tears from the get-go because she tells her story about her mom. I'm not going to run any of it. I just want you to read it. So this is Dr. Casey Means, who's been on Tucker Carlson lately. If you have not watched that podcast, we'll link that here as well. This book, I can tell already, I love it. It's everything I feel like we've been talking about. It is the shift in consciousness that I think we're going through right now when it comes to life, but healing and health transformation specifically. You have the power to create your energy. How you nourish your body and mind will determine your life experience. I'm going to read that one more time. You have the power to create your energy. How you nourish your body and mind will determine your life experience. That's it. Feel incredible, avoid disease, and age well. This woman was top of her class, Stanford, and ENT surgeon, and completely dropped out of all of it. I mean, she went to the top of the tops, and she has shifted gear in a huge way. She's loud. She's singing it from the mountaintops. I could not cheer her on enough because it is the solution that we're all looking for. All right. So reproductive issues, PCOS, cycles, fertility, cysts, endometriosis, mental health, anxiety, depression, stress, brain fog, autoimmune, RA, Hashimoto, lupus, fibromyalgia, cardiovascular, hypertension, high cholesterol, heart disease, heart attacks, breast health, fibrocystic, cancer, obesity and weight issues, diabetes, joint issues, thyroid issues, hyper, metabolism, energy, UTIs, renal, bladder, infections, osteoporosis. Remember, all of those. You go to all these books and say for whatever reason you really don't have time. I'm going to take you through a few common themes in all of them because I don't care who the author is. I don't care what the book is. As complex it is actually really, really simple as well. So let's get back to the basics and shut this episode down. Number one, self-awareness and empowerment. You got to know you. You got to listen to the signals and the cues inside you. And instead of waging war on your system, I want you to listen for a second and invite it to get louder and invite it to whisper to you through your intuition. What is going on? What is out of balance? What is out of harmony? What needs tended to? You got to get to know you and you got to read. You got to listen. You got to watch. You've got, if what you're doing isn't working. So if you're one of the people with one of those labels, if you're on one medication, 3 medications, 5, 10, looking at multiple surgeries or had surgeries that didn't pan out very well, if you're sick, if you're tired, this is for you. It's time to put down what's not working and get really curious for a little bit and just study and just listen and loosen your grip on what you think you do know and who you do trust and start to invite an opportunity that there might be another way. You're going to have to get honest with yourself and take radical responsibility and start to read and move and pray. And we're going to get into all this like your life depends on it because it does. I'm going to say it. I'm going to keep saying it. No one is going to save you. You are creating your reality. You heard it through all of those 10 books in little bits of different ways. Self-awareness and empowerment comes through being honest with yourself, knowing who you are, listening to what's going on, and taking responsibility to do something about it. Number one, first and foremost. Number two, acknowledging that there is a mind-body connection. Everything in Western medicine, for the most part, is very, very physical. But we opened up these different books where they're looking at how emotions and thoughts and belief patterns create your health experience. I love the way they say that. Our reality, our health experience is created through our thoughts, our beliefs, and our choices. So, if we don't like our reality, if we don't like our circumstances, if we're not happy with our health, then we backtrack not only the physical, but into the mind of why we're sick in the first place. So, Louise Hay, there's, in those, the power of affirmations, the power of mindfulness, the power of visualization. So, even if you are sick, especially if you are sick, taking time to visualize yourself healthy and happy, seeing yourself different. If you've been put under a label, the most dangerous thing you can do is attach to it and make it your identity. If you literally build a cage around yourself if you accept that reality that has been spoken over you instead of reclaiming what is rightfully yours. Number three, looking at the difference at natural and holistic medicine practitioners, villages, versus a more mechanistic approach to health. So, this is the difference between innate and nature and wholeness, holistic medicine, versus a very mechanistic. So, Dr. Casey Means talks about this. We break it all down. Actually, the higher specialty you have, the higher notoriety you have. So the more you get into one lane of medicine and you make, that you're an ortho and you only work on certain joints or sinuses and you only work on sinuses or reproductive or diet, we break it all into systems. The problem with that is that they all affect the other. And if you don't see the ecosystem and you don't address the root causes, then you're going to miss the boat because it all ties together and you can't affect one system without a landslide into the other ones. So when we take a medication for one thing, this is why eventually as the body tries to balance itself with the introduction of that medication that's trying to control symptoms. So here we are forcing our system to do what we think it should do. It's going to have, another reaction or set of reactions. And this to me really comes down to perspective and trust and having, you need to calibrate your village. So I'm not saying that it needs to only be one way, that there is a, healthy balance or place that you can go to depending on what type of approach it is you need, because proximity is power. You can't really learn and attach and get in the results and benefits of this type of thinking if you aren't surrounded by it all the time, because it traditionally hasn't been normal, which I'll go straight, I guess, into that, because we talked about how we've normalized all of this. Well, I would like to make alternative the new normal, right? The alternative health practitioners give us an at bat. So I throw chiropractic right in the smack middle of that. This is yoga, acupuncture, meditation, functional med, massage. I want you to try cryotherapy and hyperbaric oxygen and saunas and IVs and get your labs drawn. And there's any lab test now you can do your own. Yes, we still probably need doctors and support, but honestly, like if you trust somebody else's word over your life and health over your own, that's a problem. And so the biggest the reason that I would say let's get the holistic approach and create villages where we have alternative practitioners at the helm of shifting the trajectory is, I read all the statistics to you last week about kids and this week's about women. If it was working, I'd leave it alone, but it's not working at an increasing scary rate, and women are losing their life to the fact that we have problems in our approach. And so if you don't like your results or you have a family member that needs to hear this, I'm begging you to share it and to pretend, like I said, just loosen your grip on what you think you know and see what comes through. Every single one of those books goes back to lifestyle. So whole foods diet, cut the crap. Get the sugars and the flours and the processed foods. Did man make it? Stay away from it. Did God make it? Go for it. Like whole foods, vibrant nutrition, food is fuel. Regular movement. So moving your body, walking, sweating, exercising, weightlifting, yoga, got to move our bodies. Hydration. And yes, this is water, but it's bigger than water. So it's hydrating foods. 80% of diagnosis and issues tied to inflammation and dehydration. You want to do one thing to change your life? Drink good quality spring water with some minerals back in it, replenish your dehydrated system, and watch after 30 days. how different you feel. Take pictures of yourself for 30 or 60 days and just go on a mission to eat hydrating foods, cut the crap, and just watch how your skin and your health start to change. Sleep. Women don't sleep very well. And I have two sets of twins. I get it. I don't feel like I slept for years. I still like kind of wake up and then hormone changes come in, sleep, gets disrupted. We have to have sleep. And I used to be the girl that's like, I need 4 or 6 hours, I'm good. And I was for a while. But, it's like putting your health on a credit card. You're going to have to pay it back at some point with interest. And so, we need to look at these basics and detoxifying our system. So put really good stuff in, get bad stuff out, like I was talking about with saunas and different mineral baths and different ways to, it cleanses, castor oil packs, anything that pulls the crap out of our system and pump good stuff back in. That's the name of the game. I don't care which influencer or doctor you want to follow along with, like, what book you want to read, or who the next like fab thing is out. This is the fundamentals that will not change. And it's food, it's movement, it's hydration, it's sleep, it's detoxification. And as a chiropractor, I would throw, nervous system adaptability in there as well. Community. So look at who's around you, because they say that we're most like the 5 people around us. So are your friends healthy? Are your family members healthy? If not, you might want to make some shifts in who you're hanging out with and go make some new friends at the gym, because we get lonely and we feel crazy and we get fatigued, and then we start to think it's normal because everybody's going through it, and it's not normal. So we need to build relationships and bigger picture. This is how we really show our daughters that our health matters. Nothing's more important. So prioritizing your health and not just saying it, but doing it, and creating a new trajectory for them. And, we got to embrace change and our adaptability, because we are literally a different woman every day for our entire lives. And that's not going to change. That is who we are designed to be in this life. So dig it, right? Like, get on board that you're on a roller coaster, and sometimes it's super high highs and low lows, but it balances itself out and it can be fun. And, if we make adaptability and resilience and harmony and seasons, and we look at the same way the moon comes up, the sun comes up, fall turns into winter, turns into spring, turns into summer, like, we are the feminine, we are nature, we grow life. Like, we get to do this instead of it being a bad thing. Like, what if we just got grateful for the gifts that being a woman brings to us? One of the things I have hanging up at home and at the office is a little like plaque that says, I trust the next chapter because I know the author. And that's, what I'll leave you with is, whether we're talking about hormone fluctuation or stress, diet, sedentary lifestyle, sleep issues, society pressures, mommy guilt, comparison, support systems, chronic illnesses, trauma, life experience. I know how much some of you have been through. I know the weight, the yoke that so many of you carry. I don't take it lightly. But I do think there is a real spiritual disconnect. And I do think that we take on too much. And there is some martyr syndrome that I've watched play out in my own family tree with my mom, with myself. And we're the only ones that can rewrite the story. We are the author. We have the pen in our hand, literally, with every choice that we make, with every belief we hold on to, with every book we read or don't read. And this is that ADIO. It is the spiritual health, the above, connecting first. Get connected to God, get reconnected to nature and the bigness of life and how in tune you are as a woman. And then the D, down, above, down, into my body, my mind, my soul. How can I get right? How can I nourish? How can I kick the bad stuff out, put the good stuff in, and create momentum for my health and my adaptability and my resilience? I, inside my inner circle, who am I keeping around me? How am I nurturing my relationships? What practitioners and village, who do I turn to when I need an objective set of eyes? Who do I trust? What books, not just, actual practitioners, but what books am I reading? What podcasts am I consuming? Where am I at on social media? Who am I following along with? The I is big. And then, really looking at how we give it back. So, yeah, I want you guys to share these podcasts. Yeah, I'm going to be on a mission with these office hours and these podcast episodes, because I read and I study and I share like my life depends on it because it does. And I read and I study and I share and I speak and I create time for this like your life depends on it because it does. And I'm grateful for every ache, for every fracture, for every broken piece of my heart that I've been able to kind of put back together because every experience, every trauma has led me here. And I hope if there's just, one person that gets to listen to this that it serves and that it makes it shine just a little bit brighter, right? Like we can't do it all and we certainly can't do it all overnight. But we women have the power to change the world. And when we change ourselves, then we can lead our children better and we can love our husbands better and we can make more beautiful magic in the workplace. And you can take every single issue in health, in government, in the world. And if we just start the healing in our own hearts and our own bodies first, and then in our homes, and then in our workplaces and our communities, well, we change the world. So you heal the woman, you heal the home, you heal the world. And I hope this found you today because it was for you. I'll see you next time.